What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Show and Tech. So before I start today's video, I just want to highlight the fact that we have reached 1,000 subscribers, and I'm truly thankful and super grateful that 1,000 of you found my content to be interesting enough to subscribe. So for this month, what I really want to focus on is pushing the social media pages. I would love to get at least 500 followers on both the Instagram and the Twitter accounts. And in order to add a little bit of incentive to it, I'm going to say that once we hit 500 subscribers on Instagram, I'll be giving away a pair of Liberty Air 2s. And once we hit 500 subscribers on Twitter, I'll be giving away a pair of Liberty 2 Pros. For those of you who've been looking to get your hands on a pair of those, this is a nice and easy way for you to get them for free. So without wasting any more time, we're gonna get into today's video. And today we're talking about a pair of truly wireless buds that have been suggested to me numerous times. And those are the Jabra Elite 75Ts. So at the time of recording, you can grab a pair of Jabra Elite 75Ts for $239 Canadian and $179.99 American. Now that price point pretty much puts these earbuds at the mid tier. So we know that we've had the sound cores at the $100 to $199 range. And then we've also looked at the AirPods Pro, which came in at the $250 American or $329-ish Canadian range. So these guys kind of fit right smack dab in the middle. So when discussing the look, design, and the fit of the Jabra 75Ts, I've got to say that these are a pretty appealing design. The case and the earbuds themselves are both made out of a nice premium plastic, and the overall form factor of the buds is one that is very appealing. So I talked time and time again about the fact that at this point there are really two distinct styles of buds. So you have your oval shaped or circular shaped buds that fit in your ear, as well as those AirPod like stock shaped, and they do a really good job of capitalizing on that oval in-ear shape with the Jabra 75Ts. So some of you might be familiar with or even own the Jabra Elite 65Ts, and you might be wondering what the differences are in terms of the design of those two. So with the Jabra 75Ts, they've actually managed to reduce the overall size of them by 20%. Now, there was a lot of issues with the fit of the 65Ts because of the protruding fin that they had in order to make them somehow more secure in people's ears. But what actually ended up happening was it really limited the amount of people that were able to wear them comfortably. So with the 75Ts, they made them smaller, they've removed the fin, and I've got to say that the fit on these is amazing. The best fit that I felt up until now was with the AirPods Pros. Those had a fit where once you put them in and got going, you kind of forgot they were there. And that's not something that I've really felt until trying out the 75Ts. In addition to that, the 75Ts feature something that I really enjoy, and that is a physical button on the earbud. You have both on the left and the right. The Jabra branding on the buds serves as a nice round physical button as well that you can use to control your media. So these buttons are very clicky, they're well designed, and they really feel like something that'll last you for years to come. Moving on to the case. The Jabra 75T case is very small. It actually, for a lot of reasons, feels like a better design than the AirPods Pro case and even the regular AirPods case. I really like the fact that they made these so that they're able to stand up on a table without falling over. And I mean, that's just a little nitpick from me, but personally, I'm someone who usually has my buds sitting on the table, and it's just nice that they're upright and very easy to open and access whenever I need them. When I had the AirPods Pro on my desk, I'd have to pick them up. The case itself was a little bit slippery, and so you have to pick it up with two hands to manipulate it, open it, and then get the pods in your ears. These guys, I can just open quickly with one hand, grab the buds out of them, insert them into my ears, and then I'm ready to go. These are able to give you 7.5 hours of play from the buds themselves, and then the charging case gives you an additional 4 charges, giving you up to 28 hours of battery life. Now that's again a huge improvement over the 65Ts, which are only able to give you roughly 18 hours of battery life in total. One little drawback of the 75Ts case that will bother some of you and probably not be an issue for many of you is the fact that there is no wireless charging. And I mean, that is a small nitpick for something like this. I would think that in paying $239 for this device, you would expect that at the time of manufacturing these in 2019, that they would consider wireless charging to be somewhat of a standard and something that should just be included in a premium listening device. There are many different buds at a lower price point that offer that already, so there's really no reason as to why Jabra shouldn't have just included that. But aside from that, they do charge with a USB-C cable, and so you do have a USB-C cable provided to you in the box. Going back to the fit, as I said, the fit of these is amazing. I found them to be even better than the AirPods Pro, which were my #1 fitting earbuds at the time. These ones are able to fit in your ears, and once they're in, they're so light and comfortable that you really do forget that they're there. I personally use the ear gels that were pre-installed on the device, but you are given an additional 2 sizes of ear gels in the box that you can use to sort of customize your fit. And again, I guess I've been spoiled with the different companies such as Soundcore that provide a number of options out of the box. I kind of expected to see just a little bit more customizability from Jabra in that area. So moving on to the controls, the 75Ts come with the Sound Plus app, which give you the ability to maximize your use of the earbuds. So the app is very great and well laid out. It has a quick start guide in there that breaks down each of the components and provides you with a very clear explanation as to what is able to do what. One thing right out of the gates that I noticed is that you are not able to customize the button presses on the 75Ts. So whatever you have set up on the right and whatever you have set up on the left is pretty much set in stone at this point, and I'm hoping that eventually they'll come out with updates to make it just a little bit more customizable. And the reason why I say that is because as a new user, there is a little bit of a learning curve. It's gonna take some time to get that muscle memory to remember, is it the right side or the left side that I press once in order to pause? Is it the right side that I press twice in order to move the track forward? So you gotta kind of play with it a little bit and get used to it in that sense. I found that my first few days using this at the gym, I was kind of fumbling and having to take my phone out, open the app, look at the quick start guide again to kind of remember what was where and what does what. And I just really wish that they gave you the option to customize it to a way that makes sense to you. Currently, I don't find it to be that intuitive, but like I said, it's definitely something that over time, you're just gonna develop that muscle memory and it really shouldn't be an issue for you. So in the Sound Plus app, you are able to customize the EQ settings. There's a number of presets in there that you can use. One thing that you tend to hear often about these is that they are pretty bass heavy. So a lot of reviewers suggest turning on the bass just a tad in order to get the best listening experience, but that's something that we'll talk about just a bit later. One huge underrated feature of the Sound Plus app is the preset ambient sounds that come loaded in the app. I find myself using those a lot whenever I need a quick 2-minute de-stress or reset. My personal favorite is the Thunderstorm. I'll throw my buds in, play the Thunderstorm soundtrack, close my eyes and put my head back for a bit. And I find it to be really relaxing and extremely immersive. So for anyone out there that, likes to meditate or just take some time to themselves after work or after school or whatever it might be to relax and sort of de-stress, those soundtracks do a great job of facilitating that. The other important feature that you can control out of the app is the ability to engage in sound pass-through. So I've always talked about how important it is to have an ambient sound mode so that when you are listening to your buds in an open environment, you're still able to hear what's going on around you. Now, this is a huge feature for people who commute by foot or bicycle and or take public transit because you're never gonna miss your stop. You're always gonna hear if a car is honking you or if you've walked into somebody's path or whatever it might be, because let's face it, safety is important when using these types of buds. And finally, the biggest oversight in terms of the control of the Jabra Elite 75Ts was the mono mode. So again, at this price point, I just expect a lot of features to pretty much be there by default. And so one feature that I really can't compromise on is not having a mono mode that allows me to choose which earbud I like to have in my ear. I think the standard's been pretty much set at this point that is something that people truly enjoy. And so there's really no reason why I should be paying as much money as I did to get these and not have the ability to listen to whichever earbud it is that I want. As always, there's people who would argue that that's just something that you can live with and really in the long run, it's not that big of a deal. But at the end of the day, when you're paying the money, you want the device to work in a way that is the most efficient for you. So who knows, you might be in an environment where you do need to have your right ear available to you and you want to listen to some music on your left. And really and truly, that is something that you should just get. So lastly, and always the most important, is the sound. At this price point, you would expect the sound to be great, and it's definitely there when it comes to the 75Ts. I personally haven't had any issues with the sound at all. While I still prefer the sound signatures of other brands, I've really found myself really enjoying the overall listening experience on the 75Ts. So as mentioned previously, a lot of people recommend lowering the bass, and I find that that's really not something that you have to do. The only time that you really need to lower the bass on the 75Ts is if you're somebody that listens to your music extremely loud. Now, the reason why I say that is because these do have a pretty heavy bass coming out of that 4mm driver. And when you max out the volume, it does tend to start distorting the mids and the highs or making them a little bit muddy, if you will. So what I suggest is dropping that volume setting just a little bit, still loud enough that I enjoy it. And I find that I can raise the bass higher and higher without really having that distortion of the mids and the highs. So you don't necessarily need to worry about the bass as much as some people have hyped it up. It just really depends on the volume that you like to listen to your music at. And as I said, I'm typically someone that likes to listen to my volume loud, but there's really no reason to max it out with the 75Ts as they're already pretty loud. And finally, there's a couple people out there saying that these need to be quote unquote burned in. And after doing some research, and I mean, this could really be an entire video in itself, but after doing some research, some people say they need to be burned in for 100 hours. Some people say they need to be burned in for 300. And really and truly, that's just not something that I believe in. I just think that once you've listened to a set of earbuds or over-the-ear headphones for that long, you just get used to them and they tend to start sounding better to you because of how comfortable you are with them. So I really don't think that that is going to change anything. The sound on these is already pretty good. So in conclusion, the Jabra Elite 75Ts are a great device. While the price might be a little bit high for what you're getting, they are overall a great listening experience. They're able to do a number of things very well. And while there's a couple of things that I wish they did better, namely having that wireless charge capability and also giving me the ability to customize what my button presses do, and also allowing me to decide which single earbud I'd like to be listening to at a time, these are still a great device to grab. If you're someone that has the 65Ts, I would recommend upgrading to these because you're gonna get better battery life out of them and a much superior fit. And so that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, these are a great device. It kind of reminds me of that old saying that went something like, fear not the man who practices 1,000 kicks one time, but fear the man who practices one kick 1,000 times. In this case, I would kind of reverse it. Jabra does a lot of things with these devices that are pretty good. And so you're not really sacrificing a whole bunch of things for one really good thing. For example, sacrificing comfort and customizability for a great listening experience. You're kind of getting a really good experience all throughout. So that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed any of this information or found it to be useful, please feel free to subscribe and hit that thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like it, as I appreciate any engagement. And as always, leave any discussion, comments, or questions in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to answer you as fast as I can. So much love as always, throwing up 2 of them, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.